I'm Matt Lloyd, for those who don't know, from GDS, and I'm here to talk to you about the QSystemNet, which is our entry for this year's Innovation Awards. In this small introduction, I'm going to give you a bit of introduction about GDS, a little bit of history about the QSystem, where we are at the moment, and then the QSystemNet Innovation Award entry. GDS, based in Bristol, we've been going for 6 years. We manufacture and design a number of different product lines which are in export around the world and in the UK. We're going for 6 years. QSystem. History of Q lights at the moment has been a very integral part of theatre technical systems for many years, a very reliable way of controlling a show. A simple red, green light to tell the technical member of crew or the cast when to go. The problem with that system is it requires a huge infrastructure, and you're also limited on playback and storage. Recent history, we had the GPO switch, which meant the stage manager could operate the show in a certain way where they could put their personality into that and hold a cue or make a cue go quicker, or maybe do a cue in a different way, execute it, etc. Part of the QSystemNet is also the switches that we've actually included have personalities. So the stage manager can also put things in there like a flashing red or a non-flashing red, a standby, a flash go, or a holding go, a latching go. So there's certain personalities they can do with that as we develop the system. Existing systems now with Q light require a sort of, for every Q light there's a cable, so it's a radial system. So you'll have a huge infrastructure around a building where every Q light needs to get plugged in, come into a patch field. You then need to repatch and then goes out to your control position. This has several disadvantages: cabling intensive, limited playback and storage, physical patching, manual operation, and not networkable. With the introduction of the QSystemNet, we feel that we've eliminated all of those problems and issues. This is a true Ethernet backbone system. It will sit side by side with a lighting control system into your building. Editing on and offline, patching on and offline. The system is portable and programmable and interfaces with existing hardware. This is an example of the QSystemNet now in a building where you would run a single Ethernet base around the building, and you can plug your Q lights into various positions next to the 4-way or 12-way node, and then the controller will then see that Q light appear onto the system, taking away the intensive cable or labour for installing a system. This is to give you the idea of the system connectivity for the QSystemNet. On the left we have a controller. This may either be a portable 12-way, 6-way, 8-way controller, or a GDS stage manager's desk, or another person's stage manager's desk, putting the QSystemNet processor into the control. You then have the PC, which is the same again, so you don't have to use a stage manager's control to run your Q lights. You could use a PC. And then you then have the 4-way or 12-way nodes. And this is at the other end of the Ethernet. You then come out on analog to each Q light. That's what allows the building. That's what allows you to plug your Q light system into any part of the building on 4-way or 12-way nodes. Once you've programmed a show, we've also introduced the Playback unit. This is a 2U 19-inch rack mount playback system, which allows the operator, left or right-handed, once they've got their show exactly how they want it, they can just run it on a go button. Very simple. The top cue shows you which cue is in play, and the one underneath is the next one that's coming up. Again, showing the different processors and parts of the system. The GUI, Graphic User Interface, this has been a big learning curve for GDS. It's a real true software development, which is definitely a huge challenge. We've enjoyed doing it and we're still learning. So the Graphic User Interface is the other part of the hardware from the Ethernet advantage of the Q light system. Here you can see what I turn my program on. I have a 4-way controller on the left, and on the right it can see 8 Q lights in the building. I can now grab or highlight any one of those Q lights and put it onto whichever channel I want. I'm also able to name those Q lights, like downstage right or MD or follow spot 1, so I can see clearly which Q light I'm talking about. I can also move those around and change the addresses of them. I can then get into my GUI plotting mode. This allows me, the stage manager, to work offline and online and actually build a show. So imagine a show where you have very intense queuing all over the place and you're trying to keep up with that. This allows you to create a lot of complex moves where you can then execute those with your playback unit on a go button. The most important point about the net system is that this allows the stage manager to override at any point a standby, a go, or to cancel a green, or to reintroduce a red at any point. The system won't change the queue list, it doesn't mess it up at all, it just carries on going. So it's almost like a live edit as you're going through the system. So the stage manager keeps control of that. This is then the actual playback, where you can now say I've actually plotted my show. So I have the current queue, I then have the next queue coming in, and the queue list behind the preview actually moves up behind it. So you always see 3 or 4 queues ahead of the ones that are coming up. Then I have my go button and my back button, and the graphic will show what's actually happening during the queue. I can run that from a stage manager's console or from a PC. So the corporate market is also a consideration. So summing up, the queue system is the first Ethernet queue-like system to market. It's dynamic patching via the graphic user interface, networkable plug and play, wireless technology using the PC, any wireless device, on and offline editing for the stage manager. The safety factor, if you had a pyro queue, for example, and the system is programmed to ask for a standby on a flashing red, it may not release the go until it sees a standby. So the stage manager may miss that, and the system will hold the go, for example. So the safety, it's completely scalable from 4 ways up to infinity. It's also great for education, showing that the drama kids of today coming through can see technology for this fantastic traditional way of queuing a show is keeping up with the 21st century. It's currently been running in Macau with the Franco Dragone House of Dancing Water since March, so we now have some good hardware tests for this. And they've been running supplied by White Light. The show is opening at the end of September. Thank you very much.
Do you want to send us all out to see the show?
I'd love to do that. Should we go now?
Yes.
It'd be fantastic. So yeah, in a nutshell, hopefully that's any questions.
Hey, can you tell us a bit more about that live editing that you're talking
Yes, certainly. So the stage manager can build the book up on or offline, front of house, go away, do some changes, come back in and run the show. If during the show something changes and they need to immediately do something, they can make that change live on the queue system panel. If they then want to either make a note of that, then go and change the book on the PC later, or they want to have the PC plugged in at the same time, make the change and press record, it can happen instantaneously. The point I mentioned there is we haven't tried to create a system which gives the stage manager less flexibility. We've tried to say here's an automated system for the bits of the show you know, and the bits you need to take over a bit you can still do live and then go back to your playback. So we tried to keep it as friendly as possible to stage managers.
And I could see that was really possible on the PC, but on the interface with the go button on either side, can you still do it on that?
You can't live edit on that. That may be something that we would look at in the future. So you might make a change on the actual queue-like controller, and we might then add a record button to that. So you can then change it in that queue. You can certainly insert queues, delete queues, etc.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Can it just share a network with the building?
It can share. I've been reliably informed by Rich that it can run side by side with any other Ethernet system. Yes, compatible.
Yeah.
Question about getting an acknowledgement from the person on the other end. Are there buttons or something like that on the queue light?
Absolutely. On the GDS stage management system and on the QNet, you have an option on the personality. You press a red for standby and it flashes.
Yeah.
Then the queue light, you acknowledge it by pressing the red button. It goes to solid. That's an option you can either include or not include when you're running the show. So you can have, rather than a verbal acknowledgement, an actor, for example, going through an on-stage entrance, press my red button, I'm in place.
Oh, sure.
And the stage manager then knows.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Oh, is it available for shipping now?
The hardware is available shipping, and the software has just been completed as of 1st September. So we think the software is going to go out to Macau and run that show. At the moment, it's AMX RS232, but using the same hardware. And this software they're very excited about using the software out there. But yes, we're launching that at PLASA.
Hello.
Hello.
One of the reasons that it used to be a light bulb that you switched on and off was because that was dead cheap.
Yep.
And of course you do so much more than switching a light bulb on and off now, because you can store the show and all of those things. But if I wanted to just install something that used an Ethernet backbone but was as cheap as I could get from the queue system there, would it still be more expensive than a light bulb going on and off?
Yes, it would, but I think that's only that you are limited still to cable or analog. So if you think we're moving forward in terms of infrastructure, when you're pricing up a theatre to put an infrastructure in, is it cost effective at that point just to run Cat5 around the building and this system go onto that, rather than all the reams and reams of cable?
Of course it is, but it's the node that's the expensive bit, isn't it?
Sure.
I guess.
So the 12-way node lists at 1,600, and the 4-way node lists at 1,400, and there's trade discounts into there for up to 40%. I mean, GDS are very aware that stage management, that's not always the biggest budget by any means. And rental companies that invest into this, that's normally given out as a freebie. So it has to be very price sensitive. In terms of the controllers that we do currently, for the stage manager's range, there is a lift because of the processors that are inside, but the software is free. Software will be completely downloadable and upgraded free of charge.
And I could use my existing queue lights?
Absolutely, because from the node, the existing hardware in the building, it's still analog from the node to the queue line. So you can still do from the control position to downstage right and then use all your tie lines. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Steve, for your time. Nice to see you all. Thank you.